This episode will be completely taken out of context. Welcome to the Fact Check This podcast.
All right, Fact Check This podcast, and I went with the OG intro today. I haven't used that in a while. That used to be the normal intro for the shows, and then I had this other one that I used specifically for live streams, and then everything became live streams. I didn't do recorded episodes anymore, and so the old one kind of got phased out, but I think I would like to start using it again. So there it is. Picking up where we left off yesterday, there were a couple of articles. So we talked about the TheoBros and what that kind of means to the left, and how that's been demonized and made to look like something really terrible that's going to change the shape of the nation, and honestly, from everything I saw from it, in a good way. So today we talk about the free press, and this follows us, and we follow up yesterday's story from Mother Jones with a story from Vanity Fair, another one of my favorite news sources. Just for the insanity of the types of coverage that they give a lot of topics and stuff. So let's dive right in. I'd like to be a little bit shorter today than I was yesterday. But there's a second article that ties into this one, so it'll should be fun. This is, as I said, from Vanity Fair, written by Molly Jong Fast. We all have a lot to lose if Trump wins. Even if you're in a blue state, and we're fine the last time around, the stakes are too high for democracy. Just a little hint, a little preview. What she means by we all is journalists. And by journalists, what she means is the type of shit journalism that is done by Vanity Fair and Mother Jones. People often say to me that I wouldn't personally be affected by a second Donald Trump presidency. After all, I live in a blue city in a blue state, and I'm married, heterosexual woman who isn't looking to have any more children. I won't need medication like mifepristone for a miscarriage, although I do have girls in my family who I assume will one day want to have children. And I don't personally rely on the federal government for education because my kids don't go to public school. I always think it's funny how these liberals that are so pro Department of Education also don't send their kids to public school. Just crazy, right? So again, how would any of this affect me? The most likely answer is that as a public-facing person, I will continue to be subjected to threats, as many in the mainstream media already are. But attacks on the media could escalate if Trump returns to power, given that he doesn't hesitate to demonize journalists and call them out before his millions of followers. And given what Trump says on television, he may target American citizens for unfavorable speech. Last time I checked, it was the left who have been trying to censor and go after people for wrong think and saying the wrong thing, get people fired from their jobs for saying the wrong thing. I wouldn't have any personal experience with having the left come after you for just, social media posts and trying to get you canceled and fired just because of saying the wrong things, right? I wouldn't know anything about that. I'm sure that this chick writing for Vanity Fair has really felt her job threatened by the right wing so many times that she can't even explain how terrifying it is. I'm sure she's had to completely change the way she conducts herself on social media across the board because of it, right? I'm definitely, right? Yeah, fucking joke. I think the bigger problem is the enemy from within, he told Maria Bartiromo on Fox News on Sunday. Sick people, radical left lunatics, and it should be very easily handled by, if necessary, the National Guard, or, if really necessary, by the military. Okay, so this is her quoting Trump, and I'm going to read the next part of this paragraph, and then we're going to backtrack a little bit. The lunatics in question could be anyone from protesters to opinion columnists or even mainstream reporters that he doesn't agree with. Trump has referred to CBS as a fake news scam whose operations are totally illegal and has similarly suggested that ABC should lose its broadcast license. What Trump said, I think the bigger problem is the enemy from within. Sick people, radical left lunatics, and it should be easily handled by, if necessary, the National Guard, or if really necessary, by the media. What the question that he was answering was how riots and disturbance of the peace and stuff like that should be handled in the event of, similar things like the summer of 2020 happening after the election is declared here in November. That's what he's talking about. He's not talking about just going after random people that he views as enemies or that he views as political opponents or going after he's not talking about going after journalists using the National Guard or the military. That's, like the way that these morons, that they hear him say something and they take it completely out of context. They don't actually listen to the entire thing. Because if they actually listen to an entire Trump speech or they listen to something that anybody who has a differing opinion from their own says, they might actually start to, use their fucking brain and think about things outside of the bubble of progressivism that they've stuffed their head into. They might actually start to have like a unique thought. But so they see all this and they hear this and they take it completely out of context and they apply it directly to themselves. They always apply it directly to themselves. This was not talking about journalists in any way, but the military is coming after ABC News. Is what you should have taken away from Trump on Fox on Sunday. And what would it mean to have a president who, in this fashion, targets what little is left of the free press? What little is left of the free press? That is fucking rich. These people think that like the movie Civil War was just a fluff piece about how journalists are actually like the last line of defense for democracy or some bullshit. It was a fine movie. The idea that journalists are this like bastion of hope is fucking laughable. And the weight that these people put on themselves, what little is left of the free press, if the free press doesn't exist, it's because the left will not let the free press exist. You're only allowed to say what is permissible by those who are pulling the strings and in control of things, that being the left-wing media conglomerate. But yeah, what little is left of the free press? These people are fucking insane. You think you hate journalists enough, but you don't. And you never can. There's no way that you ever can. Because the level of absolute vitriol that they deserve, us as like normal, decent human beings, we can't even fathom how to reach that level. So we just have to hate them as much as we possibly can and hope that it's sufficient. It's hard to fathom, but there's a world where Trump imitates his strongman friends like Vladimir Putin or Viktor Orban or Kim Jong-un, all of whom participate in jailing or killing journalists in countries with state-regulated media. He's already taking a page from Joe McCarthy this election cycle and targeting the enemies within, something my family is all too familiar with. So you're a fucking commie? Or I'm not even looking. Few aspects. What's her last name is Jong Fast, so probably a Asian Jew. Anyway, moving on. We're not attacking the person. We're attacking the article and the dumb shit that the person says. Few aspects of Trump's second-term plans are more openly authoritarian than his immigration platform. On Friday, Trump traveled to Aurora, a suburb of Denver, Colorado, where he is shopping Operation Aurora, a policy he said would target every illegal migrant criminal network operating on American soil by use of the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. According to the Brennan Center, the law is a wartime authority that allows the president to detain or deport the native citizens of an enemy nation. The law permits the president to target these immigrants without a hearing and based only on their country of birth or citizenship. The last time the United States used the Aliens Enemies Act was to put Japanese and Japanese Americans into internment camps during World War II. What would internment camp actually entail in a modern day? Well, Trump has talked about deporting up to 20 million undocumented immigrants, an operation of staggering scale that he freely admits will be bloody. The Department of Homeland Security in 2018 estimated there were 11.4 million undocumented immigrants. Pew put the number at roughly 11 million in 2022. It's impossible to imagine what deporting that many people would really look like. Maybe blue state governors would be strong enough to prevent deportation camps from being built in states like California and New York. Maybe the camps would only be in red states, and maybe they'd be erected on federal land like national parks. Then there's the question of who would run these camps. Trump, for his part, has mused about using the National Guard. Who would stop any of this, you might ask? Would a Republican Congress stop it? Who would be the grown-ups in the room? It sounds like the grown-ups in the room are the ones who are actually saying, hey, look, we've got like 11 million undocumented immigrants that we don't know any fucking thing about. And maybe, just maybe, we need to gather them all up and get rid of them so that they're not, doing shit like what they're doing in Aurora, Colorado, where they're literally taking over apartment complexes. I wish I had the video queued up of the chick questioning JD Vance about this and saying that, Trump says that these immigrant gangs have taken over the entire town or have taken over a bunch of complex apartment complexes. And it's only a couple. It was only 2 or 3 that they've taken over. And JD Vance goes, did you hear what you just said? Like, you are nitpicking the words of Donald Trump and making the point that is the bad thing here, and not that immigrant gangs have literally taken over multiple apartment complexes in a city. Like, this is where their just like rotted brains go. It's Orange Man bad. Orange Man say bad words. Orange Man's going to put people in jail, as opposed to violent, illegal immigrant gangs are taking over fucking cities. You think you hate journalists enough, but you do not. You cannot fathom the amount of hate that they deserve. Carrying on. At least during the first Trump administration, the courts prevented Trump from doing some of the things he wanted to, like ending DACA. But this time, Trump would be starting out with a 6-3 conservative majority Supreme Court, featuring 3 justices he appointed. Last year, we saw the Trump-friendly High Court issue 2 rulings that will pretty much serve as a blank check to embolden Trump. The first ended the Chevron deference, which will curb the power of federal agencies to expedite the death and expedite the death of regulatory expertise. Thank God, regulatory expertise is bullshit wording. There is no such thing as regulatory expertise. There are no experts in the regulatory industry. They're all just fucking morons who are doing what they need to do to make sure that they stay in jobs. The other decision, which is perhaps more worrying, Trump would have a blank check to do whatever he wants if he says it's in the service of the presidency, essentially granting him a blanket immunity against any crimes he commits in office. As Ninth Circuit Judge and Ronald Reagan appointee Stephen S. Trott wrote, it means that Richard Nixon could have legally ordered his plumbers to burgle the office of Daniel Ellsberg, psychiatrist. And I'm not even getting into how the left has completely just fucking missed the point of this ruling. It's especially how left-wing journalists have missed the point of this ruling. That's one of the things that I do need to do before the end of the year. Maybe before Trump takes office. I usually try to take the month of December off, and I'm probably going to do that again this year. So I'll try to get it. November is tough too. I'll get it. We'll see how the election goes, and then I'll do the Chevron and the other one about the blanket immunity type stuff, because they have completely missed like the point on both of those deliberately. That's by design. They intentionally missed the point of what these actually said and what these would actually do in order to drum up fear and make people think that it's something that it's not. Trump is telling us all about his potential plans, internment camps, going after his enemies, foreign and domestic, including presumably journalists. Will I be one of them? Will he clamp down on the free press? Will he take away the licenses from networks he deems insufficiently supportive of his presidency? Lord willing, yes, hopefully so. I hope Trump is at least half as bad as what they claim that he's going to be. Just half. Or maybe I should say I hope Trump is half as good as what they say he's going to be. Just half. I'd settle for half. I'd settle for a quarter, honestly. Like if he just does a quarter of what they say that he's going to do, if he goes after journalists the way that they believe he will, that's my blessing on that entire presidency right there. On the campaign trail, Trump has recently posed a question of his own when it comes to voting for him, asking the crowd, "What the hell do you have to lose?" Actually, a lot. While we don't know precisely what a second Trump term will look like, it'll surely be chaotic and bleak, and could mark the end of something we certainly don't want to lose: democracy as we know it. The only people who don't want to lose democracy as we know it are the people who directly benefit from democracy, which is like everybody other than the common man, like everybody other than the average human being. And not only that, but is democracy really something that we're so worried about losing? This thing was never supposed to be a pure democracy to begin with. The founding fathers went out of their way to try to form something that would not be turned into a pure democracy because they saw pure democracy as a bad thing. Every time it had been tried throughout human history, it utterly fails and falls apart. You know, within generally about 250 to 300 years, gosh, when was this country founded? 1776 plus 250 puts us at 2026. We are witnessing the end of the republic. The republic is dead. This is no longer a republic anyway. That's been gone for at least 50 years, probably closer to 70. Yeah, we lost the republic thing. So we are getting to witness the death throes of the republic. Roman history is amazing. I highly recommend, looking more into it, as we've talked about on the show multiple times. But here's the thing: all this concern about like journalists being targeted by Trump and everything, maybe, and one of Trump's strongest supporting groups is young males in the 20, 30-year-old white males, and teens, like teenage males especially, are really taking the side of Trump on a lot of things, which may not bode well for the journalist class, because a new study finds that teens lack trust in media as online conspiracies flourish. The Scripps News Disinformation Desk gets an exclusive look inside one Virginia classroom trying to change that. Like most 17-year-olds today, Miles Jackson gets his news primarily from social media sites like TikTok and YouTube. The Arlington, Virginia resident said he's most drawn to topics that interest him personally, stories about racial justice, and lately the 2024 election. Last month, he watched his first ever presidential debate on TV with his mom. Trump is trying to prove to Kamala Harris that she's this person, and Kamala is trying to prove to the people that Trump is this person, instead of just having the same goal, Jackson told Scripps News of his debate takeaway. Unlike most teens, however, Jackson's high school government class is helping him learn how to evaluate the news he reads online, as new research shows large proportions of American teens lack access to that kind of education. You can't really just believe anything, Jackson said. Before you just decide to be gullible, do your own research and see how reliable it is. In Jackson's senior year U.S. and Virginia government class at Wakefield High School, students learn about how the political system operates by following the news. Their teacher, Patricia Hunt, says she thinks it's crucial that the next generation better understands how to sift through the murky online marketplace of misinformation. It behooves us as educators to be sure that they're able to distinguish between propaganda and opinion, and a news piece that is well-sourced, that's balanced, and that has expert testimony, Hunt said. The work is timely. On October 21st, a study from News Literacy Project, a nonprofit and nonpartisan organization working to promote media literacy education in K-12 schools, sought to provide wide-ranging quantitative data about how American teens engage with news, their level of trust in journalism, and their ability to discern fact from fiction. Some findings were troubling, said CEO Charles Salter. Anyone who's worried about our democratic system, our civil dialogue, education, and even the future of journalism, the future of media, should really be concerned. We have this generation that's coming up that doesn't understand journalism, it doesn't trust it, and it doesn't value it as it should. As it should. See, these fucking pathetic, narcissistic journalists always think that they deserve all of your respect. They deserve all of your all of your attention. Among the more alarming takeaways, 8 in 10 teens say they've encountered conspiracy theories online, and 81% are inclined to believe at least one, the report found. We are winning. We are winning. Moreover, fewer than 10% of teens report high levels of trust in news media, and nearly half say they believe journalism does more harm to democracy than good. We are winning. The kids are going to be all right. They are seeing what journalism has become, and they may actually be able to find the level of hatred that it deserves. We can't. We're too. A lot of us we've had kids, and we've had wives and girlfriends, and significant others, and we've lost dogs. Like we've had enough good and bad things in our lives that we just can't fathom the level of hatred that's necessary. We've been softened up by the good things of life. But these kids, they've just seen the pure absolute evil that is journalism, and they fucking hate it, and it's amazing. Fewer than 10% of teens report high levels of trust in news media, and nearly half say they believe journalism does more harm to democracy than good. They come to class with some misconceptions about the reality of our government, that it can and cannot do, what kind of powers it has, who's behind decision-making, Hunt noted. They fall prey to viral rumors, and just like the rest of us do. In her classroom, Hunt utilizes the News Literacy Project program called Checkology, a free platform with lesson plans for educators to teach news literacy in the classroom. During a Monday morning lesson on election misinformation, for example, students were presented with different types of media, satire, opinion, advertisements, and even AI-generated content, and asked to determine the veracity of each source. Sometimes those, like AI-generated stories, are kind of convincing, but you got to dive deeper to figure out whether it's really true or not, reflected Wakefield senior Keon Tiggle. The new study revealed some more optimistic findings, too. While only 39% of students report having any media literacy education in the classroom this year, 94% said they thought such lessons should be a requirement. Right now, just 3 states, Illinois, Connecticut, and New Jersey, require news literacy education in high school, though Salter's group is working to change that. Our mission is to ensure that all students in all 50 states eventually will be guaranteed news literacy education before they graduate high school. As with adults, conversations about politics can get tricky at times, but program administrators and educators stress that the goal wasn't to push students in a particular direction, but rather help them better understand what they're already encountering online. I provide the kids with the information and they can draw their own conclusions. I am absolutely 100% fucking positive that is not what you were doing. We teach students how to think about the news and information and not what to think about specific sources, echoed Salter, who is also full of fucking shit. The students, meanwhile, say they're thrilled to be involved in such conversations. It's like open your eyes when you learn about this in school, Tiggle said. Back in the day, my parents, they really didn't get the education that we got about things that are going on now. It's my future, added 17-year-old. God, these fucking names. They didn't interview a single fucking white kid for this. Sorry, but it's true. I'm more dragged towards different topics than older people, but it doesn't mean that we don't care. The next thing that needs to happen is need to get these kids red pilled to, since they're already like only 10%, less than 10% think the journalism is actually doing any good. Next, we need to get them red pilled on the Department of Education so that they look at these propaganda classes like this that are trying to teach them to the believe that they need to have more trust and more respect for journalism. Well, now we need to show them these classes and be like, look, here's what they're doing. They're taking all of the things that you see going on in the world and already know instinctively to distrust, and they're trying to propagandize you and brainwash you and convince you that you should trust it. The schools are just as bad as the journalists. You should have just as negative a feeling about your school system, and especially about some propaganda fucking classes like this, as you do about the journalists who are the ones who are spreading all of that propaganda. We are winning. It's an amazing thing. It's a great thing. Need to see more of it. Keep pushing those kids in the red pill direction. Keep giving them all of the information. Gosh, my kids, all the stuff that I talk about with my kids, I'm surprised I haven't had DCS called on me yet. Like the things that they say and that they talk about with their friends, and like we can win, but we're gonna have to put it in the hands of the next generation. And what I am finding is those are very capable hands, and they are ready for it. So keep pushing. That'll do it for today. I got through this a lot quicker. I expected to get through the other one about this quick yesterday, and then I didn't. It was longer than I had remembered it being when on the initial read, and then also I lingered on some stuff and talked about some stuff, but it's fine. It's 2 episodes in 2 days is fine. And it's all good stuff. Hopefully you got something out of some of this stuff. Share this stuff with your friends, especially the stuff about the TheoBros, like that. National socialism, or not national socialism, Christian nationalism is definitely the way to go. Call that a Freudian slip. Better end the show on that. Oh, that'll do it for today. I will be back next week with some more content. I haven't decided what I'm doing next week. We'll see. Check out my Substack. I finished the Substack yesterday. I thought it was really good. Talking about a church lesson from a couple weeks ago, attending a more progressive church and hearing what the pastor was speaking on. It was interesting. So I wrote about it. Hopefully you enjoy that as well. That'll do it for me. You can tune in tomorrow morning for the morning after, and then also tomorrow, like midday, for Peddling Fiction. And then tomorrow evening, we're all going to sit down and play dumb games and talk about stupid shit while we drink. So we'll have a happy hour / night before tomorrow evening. So lots of stuff going on tomorrow. Be sure to tune in for all of that. And I will catch you then. Later.